Yeah, I'm super excited about this conversation. Okay, I think we are live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being patient with us. We had a little chit chat and we're just, I was saying this to my husband this morning. He was kind of like trying to get the kids out and, like this. And I'm like, just relax. Everything's fine. Time is on our side, and the kids don't get it. They're just playing. And we're the ones that are like, it's 9:30. They're like, who
Yeah.
cares?
But at the same time, it's sitting roots inside of them.
Yeah, it's with us, this kind of culture of going with time. And it's like those of us that are like really just wanting to be timeless and go with the sun and go with the tides and eat whatever fruits available.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm super excited about this conversation, friends, with the beautiful Josh X. And it's really, so fun to be with you. I was thinking yesterday about this conversation. Well, I've been thinking about it all week, but I was thinking about it yesterday particularly, and remembering the first time I heard you speak. And it was at one of the shows with Eloise and Charlie Free. And you said so many things that like really blew my mind. And a couple of them were so perfect for where I was in my life. Like you said something about busyness and work. And contracts. And I know that most people want us to like get into like the conversation about diet, and we're going to get there. But I thought it would be really fun to kind of start there, because time and contracts and all of this energy in terms of like being a part of this world or putting our feet on the earth and being in the earth. And I wondered if we could just kind of start there, and you can kind of talk about business and work and contracts and why we need to step out of all that.
Wow. Okay. It's a very broad thing, and it's just with different levels of awareness. It's all through the plane. We have to word things right. So my apologies if some things go over or it sits in deep, and I hope it does. But I'd say initially mankind has forgotten how to feed themselves. And we've got lost inside a commercial world. And business, phonetically, this is where the language comes in, is business. And the matrix always provides us with the remedy right in front of our eyes, in this duality matrix that we live in. So if we can almost change our perception from the standard egoic function that is programmed to just be a part of society and try to start to observe what's actually in front of us. Yeah. This gives us a new connection and a new insight, and this brings forth wisdom. So it's just like initially, as I started to observe language, rather than having the indoctrinated idea of language, I started to just perceive words, symbols, and signs, which allowed me to then see the synchronicities that were put there within sight language. And then it presented to me the truth that's installed within the language for us all to see. And I think, language itself is one of the most important things we can sort of get our head around, because if we're on a search for something, the answers are there in every situation with language, which is what makes the spelling so important for us to get our heads around. Would you like to go into any language at all today?
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. I just really wanted us to kind of spend some time together and talk about all of the things, because like I'm really fascinated by this, because I had never heard anyone. I mean, obviously busyness makes sense, like busyness, and then work meaning what is work?
War with K, and you to have war with K. This is the balance 11. So K is the 11th letter in the alphabet. I do have a whiteboard here with me, which may serve some benefit. I can write on to share or shed some light with letters. Let's see, in Freemasonry, a lot of people are searching for the true meanings of things. And K itself, or the KKK, is the 11th letter in the alphabet. And that represents L even. L is the root word for God. Okay, so we'll just stick to the basics right now. If you turn K on its side, you'll see a masculine and a feminine V balancing itself. So you have to balance the masculine and the feminine together. And this is what the L represents, or the temple itself. So there's always two polarities within the field of individuality. And if you listen to the phonics, you'll hear individuality as in divided duality. It's the dividing of duality. And the experience that we have here is only the experience of duality, which when you really come to grips with what the purpose of this realm is, you can almost find that liberation because you surrender all your ideas to the creative force, which allows the duality aspect to fall into singularity. Thus, you become one with atonement, or the spiritual atonement. Now, hidden in the word atonement is what it truly means, and this is at one ment, which is at one mind.
Yeah.
And obviously here we have the dual mind, the ego, and I'd say the spiritual mind. And they both have a separate function, and most beings within the ego are predominantly, working within a function that is not accessible to the spiritual side of our brain or our body and that connection. And once we transmute ourselves over to that, or you would say transformation,
Right.
now hidden in the word transformation is T-Ra, which is the physical sun, for Ma, the mother, T ions, which is the physical sun for the mother's physical ions. And the mother is earth, which is the negative charge that we all need to balance our bodies out here. So this is why language has presented the earth and ground for us to walk on, because we're electrical alpha wave searching for the ether magnetism. And this is we need to find ourselves balanced with the negative charge to become that pure state of balance here in every situation. This is why it's blue and red. Boxing, athletics, all of these things.
How did you get like this? I mean, it's just so fascinating to me, like, because it makes so much sense. And I've been studying all of these concepts from a very different perspective, but you have a way of like placing it together with, breaking down the letters, magnetism, electricity, the words. It's really fascinating. I mean, and I know that the diet is really the portal. It seems like that for me has just been so immense. I can't imagine trying to understand any of this, to even listen to it. I remember in the beginning listening to it and knowing it was the truth, Josh, like being like, this is the truth. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Like my brain kind of, it's like that egoic part of me that's holding on for any grasp, like anything to hold on to. It's so fascinating. It's always curious to me, like, yes, the diet's the portal, but maybe you can share a little bit around how you came to really embody this, like in a way that you can explain it, and it just feels like, oh yeah, duh.
Everyone has the chance to go on, you would say, almost the hero's journey or the great work. Now, if you think of the great work itself as being the great war with balance, okay? So constantly we're in this experience trying to bring back balance to ourselves. Truly, obviously, it's a very long journey. My journey started around 7, and I started to become, I guess, that's the age. You can become the man as long as you haven't had that deep-rooted program. And my life was more in the position of the observer. So the indoctrination of the education process didn't really take a stand within me. And I guess my greatest lesson was life. So I was able to just observe as I grew and see my surroundings. I would say by the age of 12 that I knew every single ingredient and calories and fats and carbohydrates on the back of every item in all of the stores. My mind was functioning like that, so I had to allow it to feed in. And there was a thirst for information. I could not know. I had to know everything. So I would say from the age of 14, I knew that the government was corrupt. I knew that everything, part of the system was a lie. And I just fed myself with information, knowledge as such. But that will only carry you so far. Information needs somewhere to lead to. So most beings tend to get stuck in the intellectual mind without crossing over to the spiritual side, which would just be the observation and surrendering information that serves you no real purpose. Because when someone's truly seeking the spiritual path, you see that the thing that you're searching for, you can't access, you can't find. You know, when you're looking for the self, truly, if you are the self, you're observing your identity or your person. Actually, go on the search, and you're staying that observer of this person or identity, searching outside of itself for something which sits at the highest point within you. So I would say that it's the observation of my surroundings that allowed me to synchronize the knowledge that I acquired through the thirst. Because I had such an awareness that everything was wrong, everything was backwards. And my journey was young, you know, so it allowed me to get to a certain level by about the age 26, and then the surrender came. And I had to let it all go. Then the spiritual insight comes in, and then you have this interaction and play with energy. So rather than the physical world, I see the energetic side and beyond the veil of physicality.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's interesting.
Say it again.
We all have this.
Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, I see it. I see that that's happening more and more these days too, with people just being really thirsty. That was such a great word, because we're now seeing in bigger and bigger ways that the world is corrupt, and all of the governments are corrupt. And I think learning about the straw man for me has been a big one.
You see, remember that the phonetics is the key with language. It's all about the phonics and the way things sound. The world is a war with L form. Okay, there's two L's, just to make everybody aware if they haven't seen any of the language stuff. You have an AL and an EL. This is red shift. This is blue. Okay, A is the alpha wave. E is the etherical longitudinal wave of magnetism. But this is a war with L and form. AO is the form, EO is the ether. And the world serves a great purpose. And this is what I think maybe we should go into, because I think the world scares a lot of people. People think that the world is doing something to them. And the world is a grand illusion, grand, on a grand scheme. The unconscious beings, you know, consciousness itself works through the unconscious beings. This is why you must forgive those that trespass among you. So the whole artificial world is created through the unconscious beings through commerce. This is why, for example, in the Lego movie, Lord Business is the devil, which is truly the devil. But you follow business back to something or someone and you'll never find it, because it doesn't really exist. It really exists in the minds of people. And this is why there's a government that governs minds until the minds are free and you're able to govern yourself. So part of this collective movement now, that we all need to make sure that we're moving close to the land, we set up our own system so we can then feed ourselves, because whether or not we live in a country that's able to sustain life, we still go to the supermarkets, we still go to the shops, and we still need to feed ourselves. And we haven't got that section, you know, to a T at this specific time. And that's the fundamental basics to our existence, is good food and good nutrition to keep the avatar alive. But we tend to get lost through fear in mind programs that are put out there for traps. But that is of the world, see. The world won't change. The world needs to be there. It's Babylon, okay? And Babylon is not what people think it is. It's be able on.
Wow.
Okay. And this is Cain and this is Abel. So without the duality to be able to see what's going on, even though 99% of the time it's all illusory and it's for the mind to be able to fall trap and to be able to grow and expand awareness. You see, all wars were only fought between people who consented to go to war. So their lack of awareness brought them into a situation to be exactly present where they are You'll notice that militaries don't shoot at random spots. It's usually other people that have consented to be in this war, or buildings that have significance for power, for business. No one's really getting hurt, you see. All of the mass shootings and the events that have happened previously, if you really go in deep, you'll see that they were staged. But they're only staged for the mind. So if you choose to get suckered into these, then that is a trap for your awareness that takes your time, your energy, which creates a pain body response. So then that pain body response opens up a portal to show you your shadow self, the aspects that you need to work on. The world serves great purpose. It is perfect. But what we as awakened beings need to do is run alongside of it, keep ourselves to ourselves, know the purpose of it, and continue to progress on our journey.
I was just going to ask you, and you kind of answered the question, how do we interact with the world then? It's like, I know for us and our family, we just keep pulling further and further out of it, and really seeking now the capacity to feed ourselves, and so looking for land, and everything here is very farmers and like that, so it does feel like we don't have supermarkets and like that, but and there's not big shops, so we're doing it, we're getting there, but the hard part is sometimes like having to deal with an immigration situation, or and I wonder if we can talk a little bit about the straw man, and like, do we want to fill out all of this paperwork to pull back our straw man and take back our birth certificate, especially for our children? Like, I think, oh my gosh, my kids have birth certificates. Like, what's, I find myself at times going, I don't want anything to do with the world. So I step out, I'm not in organized society. However, it seems to impose itself into my life at times in a way that I know is for my own learning. I mean, I get that intellectually. However, emotionally, sometimes there's still that resistance of like, I don't want to have to go sit in an immigration office to prove that I should be able to live on my mother, like, that I should be here. Why do I have to go through all these hoops just to be,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the feeling that we have through separation, is this pain body experience, whether it's physically, mentally, or spiritually. So all of these aspects are just bringing up these parts of yourself, because there's no freedom, the mind's jumping on it, which is, allowing these thought processes to create worlds. If you just stop yourself in that situation and you actually see what's going on, you can bring remedy in that particular instance, because even though the mind itself wants to find things out and create, forms with it, what's happening is here and now. And you're not in the office, you're present here, and bring it back to that situation. Now, if previous contracts have been made, for example, with the organizations of commerce, then you're just on the filing, you're on paperwork. It's a penal system, it's all pen. This is all it comes down to. You've just created an obligation with the trust of the country. If you want to just imagine with me a second that every single country is a business. Now, under that business, they've created trust structures. So you, for example, have registered a car into the trust via the DMV or the DVLA in England. Now, as a part of that trust, they now have a policy, the policy of the police. If you look phonetically with the police, it's policy, okay? So they're driving around having a belief that they have power over you, but you've written your documents into that trust, so then they have to abide by the rules of that trust. So truly, if you don't register cars into that trust and you have your own trust set up, and you have no registration on your vehicle, but yet you're driving or traveling as such, because we can go into the small aspects of the verbatim or the words, but really the only obligatory you have is because you made that choice to register something into that trust. So if you create your own trust and you put your own car into that trust, you put your own family into that trust, you've written laws of that trust, you are master of that trust. And when you go down to the SESQV Act and the 1666 article, you can go to a court, a chancery court, and you can get that remedied by putting the judge in a trustee position to balance the books, move over to the private. But really, in your knowing, you're private. It's just when you start to create contracts via your person, Now you're moving into a public capacity. You can skate through life happy. You don't need to worry about anything. Just know that any given moment you have that authority to contract or to not. So, for example, you have a contract previously existing to this present moment. And when I come to you to ask you who you are, you have that ability to not engage. Am I obliged to give you my details? Of course, you're not obliged anytime to give details. We work through consent. You can grow in awareness, and as your awareness grows, you have no ties to the previous contracts because all contracts are void. They don't exist. So just allow yourself to embody yourself with the knowledge that you're a woman and I am a man. And this is why there's man or male, female, because we're all the same. You may have a different avatar, different body geometry, but essentially we're on the same journey. You're an alpha wave being looking for the E, the ether field, the Z, the Zion, this wave, to create a full reciprocating being, a light body. See, as a masculine wave, it needs the longitudinal wave. As this reciprocates, when these two energies touch, it's called die, okay? The point where the positive and negative are so close, they release plasma, okay? Plasma is light, it's everything, okay? So to learn to die is to be liberated from death. We're not learning to kill ourselves, we're learning to balance ourselves. And in that balance, a discharge of light, plasma, we release our light body. And this is what's inside of us.
So it's really just about embodiment. It's really just about knowing that you don't have to consent. Like you kind of exist. You exist as you are, as a woman, as a man, and given any of that happens, you're just kind of detached from it to a certain extent. You're just kind of like,
yeah. If you know who you are, it's okay for the others to believe they're not, because they create this system. But there was a wonderful saying left for us: is he who governs himself virtuously will be like the pole star, with all the other stars revolving around him. Now, if you start to awaken in the world, you start to see, if you govern yourself to that point of perfection, that everything just moves around you for you. But in the other flip side, you feel like you're the one, that everything is happening something to you, and you're lost. So, this is the rat race, and we got to make a decision if we want to be the turtle or the hare. Now, the turtle is wise, it's slow, it's method, and it will win the race. And the short-lived hare will run around crazy trying to find everything, to the point of exhaustion. And it doesn't find anything.
oh, I love that. The turtle wins the race. It sure does. It's like what I was saying earlier about, time. It was like, so what? It's 9:30. Time slows down. As long as we stay in the vibe, we don't have to worry about being late, or it just, everything miraculously just starts to organize itself for us. Like, it's so beautiful. And I just want to be there. Like, that's why I called our talk together the art of being, because you really I mean, I've seen some videos and this and that, but just to be with you, it's like that feeling of just being who you were designed to be, and knowing who you are, and then allowing the matrix to do what it does, and the world to do what it does. And when you said in one of the talks, I think it was on December 21st, that beautiful marathon show, I think it was that one, but it was just like, don't make any contracts. And I was in the middle of, like, I don't know if that was exactly your words, but I was in the middle of, like, really getting some heavy stuff from my community, and realizing I had signed some contracts that I didn't understand. And it wasn't the first time I had done this, where I had attracted, like, some really foul energy, where people were like, what? And then it was like, oh, because I think so many of us in the spiritual community, we want to have both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to be a spiritual teacher with contracts in the matrix, and we want to make millions of dollars, and be these teachers or whatever. And I didn't realize that I was doing that. Like, I really wasn't consciously
Yeah.
There was something that didn't feel aligned to that. But when you had said that, and then all these contracts were falling apart, and then it was like, I had a couple opportunities to be with Charlie Freak, and then it was like, oh, okay, I really need to step out. Like, I can't have both. It really is about making a decision on which reality I want to live in.
And once you surrender that, though, you'll find that you're catered for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time though, and it's not enough that I did it yesterday. I mean, it's great that it happened yesterday, but it is a daily kind of commitment and like consistency, and that really feels like being honest with being myself, like being who I was designed to be, because there was that like detachment process. I kind of saw it as all like these cords that I had allowed to plug into my avatar somehow, and I was just like trying to get them out through all of these crazy contracts. And I was like, sure, it's great, let's do this, and just not really paying attention at the level that I needed to pay attention. And again, the diet aspect of this was ginormous, because then I remember asking you in one of those shows, like, well, what about culture then? Like, what about these like family events, and what about holidays, and what about restaurants and all that? And you were like, I don't know if you remember this, but you said, sister, you were in a cult.
Yeah.
Now you're getting out. And I was like, oh my God, this is
cult you are. Yeah.
so it's amazing. It really is. And the juicing and the getting off like the carnal foods and stuff has just been.
You can't explain to anyone unless they go through it how much of a difference it makes in being you're constantly suppressed. As a part of True Seekers, we've all gone into the food, and it says this food's meant to suppress you, but they're telling you it's fluoride, they're telling you it's these things. Every part of the man's diet, unless it's living food, is suppressing you in some way. And fruits are the highest vibration. They bear the seed, they continue life. Without the seed, there's no thing.
Wow, no thing. Without a seed, it's no thing. Write that one down, folks. That's a big one.
Yeah, the seed itself, phonetically, you see the word C, S-E-E, D is for, which is form. So a seed is to see form. And this is why, as helpers, pointers, we just plant these little seeds and connect dots for people, because the only way you can empower yourself is the journey yourself. And that's why you must observe. You must take action. Action is your karma, and for every action you do, you have something that will happen back to you, whether it's energetically positive or negative. And that's why I really love the world of virtue. See, when we got to grips with the truth about virtues, it was, we were more just on the search of information at a specific time, looking at the 7, the S even, the sine wave even, all the colors of the spectrum, connecting them with the sound, the cymatics and everything like that. And then the virtues come up, and really, truly, that our life is a virtuous reality, and is controlled by the virtues. If you're in a rush, you haven't got patience. Just for a small example, when you're rushing around the house and you kick your toe, right? That is a pain body experience for you to learn from. And if you're sensitive enough and you get the perception, you'll see that all of these things that have been happening to you is just because you haven't been on point with the virtues. You haven't been balanced. You haven't been resonating right. And this world here, or the earth that we're existing in, allows this play of us. There's an interactive consciousness happening every second. And this is what we were speaking about earlier, is if you truly surrender, you're looked after by the creative force. Now, every being that's unconscious, consciousness works through them to manifest situations for you. It's all alignment. So as we start to see these things, you practice, you see what happens when you're virtuous in a certain situation, you observe the result. Once you've done this for a few years, you truly have the understanding of what life is, and you can see through the veil of physicality.
Wow. Where do you tell people or share with people like how to start with the virtues? Like just like that, like observing it. If you're rushed, you're not being patient. Like,
yeah. With us, we last sort of 6 weeks, we've done a virtuous X, like a course program, I would say, to help people into the realm of these virtues. And we have a Telegram group where people can interact, support each other. We give them tasks so they can go off, test and observe and see how life aligns. And you'll be surprised how many people have grown in wisdom over the last 6 weeks. I've never seen anything like it. People have truly broke bound Aries. Yeah, they have. It's incredible. So if you wish to do it on your own, then I would say just bring up the virtues, start to have a little look at what they are, and see how you apply yourself on a day-to-day basis with them. If you have a situation that causes aggravation or stress, just stop for a second. There'll be a reason why. Obviously, the ego itself is taking over control. You're living in a past or future aspect. The mind's running, which is not allowing the stillness to be inside of you. And when the body's like that, it's just pointing out. Remember that every aspect of your pain body is pointing to areas that you must work on. So it's all there for you to see, like the chakra system that we have. Shak is a house, Ra is the sun. If you break it down, it's Chakra. See the vibration of the alpha balance with the sun. This is what we need to do. For instance, when you were having your contract dilemma, the pain expresses itself towards here. And now this is blocked by illusion. This is the illusory block. And you feel that.
Yeah.
Anything emotional to do with love or your deep-rooted anxiety, fear is all lower down. And these are almost invisible energetic fields that we feel through our expression, but we haven't had the correct training about what our body is for. And truly every aspect of our body is to allow us to grow spiritually. It's an amazing device that we have lost the technology to. So it's about merging body, mind, and spirit together. And then once that's happened, the search must stop. Because there's nothing to search for. You are already it. You are searching for that which you are looking from.
Wow. That's beautiful. So true. And we've lost it. It's hard to kind of accept that, when we start to wake up and we realize that since we got here, it's been kind of a concerted effort that we don't remember these things. We don't learn about what letters mean and just and the virtues, and we're just really trained to kind of thrive in the world. And then but even still, the Creator loves us so deep that it's like the teachers and the books and the friends and all of the people are there for us to keep waking up more and more and more and more. It's like, it's so incredible, but I find it, that hard to accept that part. So I really appreciate how you're saying, like, the world is perfect.
Absolutely.
Like, it's perfect as it is, and we don't need to be upset about it or angry or.
Would you be where you were right now in your development of spirituality without the world?
No.
This is why it serves purpose. We have people say Babylon is bad, the Cabal. The word Cabal is see able. The Kabbalist or the Kabbalah is the K-abler. You see, and K is balance, C is balance, and Q is balance. So if you look at all of them, I mean, the Phoenician Q was a 0 and a 1. So it's the feminine and masculine balance in itself. But just for people's awareness, K, Q, and C are similar meanings. They all mean balance. So you have the Kabbalah spelt with all three, depending on, how you've read it. And it's important to hear the phonetics behind everything. The emergency is emergency, and you must emergency when there's an emergency and see what's going on because someone might need your help. The ambulance is ambalance. This is why you have the red or just the blue shift, because they're coming with the blue shift to try and bring life into the red with reciprocation. And this is why the 8 itself, ATE, phonetically, if we can start to ingrain that and look and observe words, you'll see that it's in quite a lot of words like, relate, yeah? Innate, I'm innate, what's 8 and what's climate? And we need to climate. And this is the true climate change that the Matrix has been basically presenting us with. And you'll start to see that this ATE, if you add up A is 1, T is 20, which represents 2, E is 5, they add up to 8. There's no way of being deterred away from the truth when everything is synchronized in such a way that, it presents itself to you. It's an amazing experience. The presence is pre-sense, and your senses accumulate ideas via the ego mind. So the presence itself, which is the observer, is before your senses. So you must take away your senses to be able to get to that space. But be careful, because intellectual mind will take you to the closest thing it sees as space and say, there you go, there's space. I want you to stay there. And now you think that you feel space or are in space, but yet that space is still observed, which is you, the observer.
Whoa, mind blown.
That's what you need to do, sister. The mind itself, you need to get the keys and you need to go inside your mind. You take it apart step by step. The process doesn't happen like this. If anybody's looking for that Kundalini experience, through breath work, I suggest it's not necessarily the best thing to do. Your body needs to handle resonance. You can end up with psychosis, mind problems. And I've seen it a lot. But you prepare the body and you go on that great journey. Hero is her void, her womb that encompasses absolutely everything. And this is the Great Mother. The Great Mother is M other. M is 13. This is the middle, and the other, the thing that we need. It's incredible. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people do want to race, want that Kundalini kind of boom, I'm there and it's all done. And now I'm a fruitarian and it's perfect. And I can just breathe and all of that. And I find that we struggle sometimes because it takes time almost for all of the elements of self to catch up to that,
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a journey. It's something that, we've only really started in October because that's when the juice and the consciousness around food came in. But there's a lot of we've always known, we've danced with veganism, this and that, but not necessarily like the fruit aspect of veganism, like just the junk food vegan thing. And then having children and really I have like a really Lebanese background. So it's like, feed the children need. And like, yeah. And so my son, like, all he ever wanted until he was really almost 3 was juice and bananas. And I was really like worried, I feel so bad because we were the ones that introduced him to like nasty foods. He still doesn't really eat them.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, he just kind of doesn't get it. Like, he's like, this is weird. But it's now, there's times when he wants them, and that like I'm learning how to kind of deal with that transition for not only myself but my children and my husband as well, because that's the journey I feel like we're speaking to, of like how to really move all aspects of self out, where there's still some ties back in, and feeling the pain body experience of that, because that is the karma, that's the repercussion of those actions that we took. And I think stepping out of like the guilt and the shame aspect, which is very egoic, and what our ego wants us to be like, well, so it's that journey, I think, that we're learning how to become more and more comfortable, more forgiving of ourselves when we realize that we're not exactly where we want to be all the time, and to celebrate the times that we are. I hope that made sense.
Exactly, and that naturally progresses and balances itself out with the laws of this spiritual nature that we have here. But that's the thing, as you progress, when you said that your son still wants a few things, you've got to realize that, and I know you do, that children themselves, just as we are, when they have certain foods put into their body, there's certain hosts inside the body that you utilize the food that you put in, your body cannot use. So you have these things such as fungus, protozoa, and bad bacteria to be able to break down the food in your system, because naturally your bacteria, which are good, that takes the minerals away and feeds your body, can't do anything with this food. So then those parasites need to exist, so they send electrical signals to the body releasing hormones. Now you want this food. And it really truly is controlling us in that way, but we've never had it put that way to really see logic with how can a little tiny parasite control me?
Yeah.
You know, but this is what's happening. So there will be a small pain body experience as you start to remove the food. You may get some canker sores, you may get candida flare up and things like that. But once you've passed that barrier, fruit truly is the only source of fuel. If you just look on Google, for example, and you type in what does our body use as a fuel, the primary source of fuel is glucose. Is there any meat that contains glucose? Is there any dairy that contains glucose? Bread? These dry oats? No. Is your body 72% water? Is there much water in the meat? And you start to see that if I need to feed the water, I need to hydrate my body. My body's made of carbon, so I need carbohydrate or hydrate carbon, the carbohydrates that we need. Our fuel is glucose. Protein itself, which is built inside the body, needs amino acids, and all these building blocks of life are found in the fruit. And again, if fruit was left to be itself, we would have fruit absolutely everywhere. But remember, it's only taken a certain period of time when we were taken from the true space that we need to be able to consume this fruit. Man was offered something to do with commerce, families were taken, they were shipped food, and it just built from there. This is why it gets cold, and it's not nice to be cold, but it's okay. You have a supermarket to be able to supply you clothes and food, but the food itself is picked unripe, it's irradiated, it's transported, and we're giving ourselves secondhand nutrients the whole time. This is why it's so important that this time we empower ourselves. We sit back and we wait for COVID itself to finish, because COVID is perfect. It's separating the beings, the ones that need to be into another system, and also is waking beings up, pushing them back to nature to see that we don't want these vaccines. And then also, it's not going to stop until they turn around and say, we just realized it was the money. Everybody's getting infected by the money. We've been passing around money. We need no money. We need digital currency. Then your Bitcoin, then all these coins are going to go through the roof. And then we're going to be interacting in a cashless society has been predicted for God knows how long. Conspiracy theorists, may be right. But remember, the conspiracies themselves, they just take you away, and what's happening is here and now. So it's okay to have a certain amount of information, but don't let yourself get lost in it. Don't stay up at night losing sleep, which is divine. And know that COVID's fine. It's going to continue until they've said, we just realized it was money that was passing around all these viruses. Sorry about the lockdown. Sorry about all of this. And we have to go cashless.
Wow. That kind of I'm just mind blown this entire time. I'm going to drink more juice. Mm-hmm. So, wow. All right.
It's the only way. There's no other logic I see, when you have a vast awareness, you see all the logic, you see all the reasons, you see everything instantaneously. This is what they're going to do. It's just going to say it's the money.
Well, the money, I said that recently to a friend because I was, making some decent money at it before I decided to hang out with people like Josh X and Charlie Freak. And then everybody decided I was a conspiracy theorist, crazy person. So I decided, all right, fine, then we're not going to charge money anymore. We're just money, because it was like the money aspect of it was what pulled everybody out. And it was like, oh, we don't like you anymore. We want all of our money back. And it was kind of like that felt to me like a pull out of love. We were using money to exchange love, energy, which is what I think a lot of, heart-centered folks, that's the world we live in, right? We need to exchange money. So I said to a friend, fuck it, I don't want any more money. Don't, pay me in watermelons, pay me in mangoes.
Sister, before you carry on, if the money goes into the right hands, how much good can you do, sister, with a functioning awareness? The money needs to be in the hands of the awoken. The money needs to be in the hands of the conscious.
Right.
We, as people on our own journey, again, get trapped by thinking that money itself is evil. It's here, it's now, it's present, it serves a purpose, and in the right hands, gosh, we can change everything in an instant.
Totally. Which makes me want to go up to a bank that I have a decent relationship with, a small bank, and pull out my straw man. I don't know what you think about that, but it's like, I want millions of dollars to do amazing things with it, you know? And I think that feels right, because what I was saying with my friend was like, I was in a place right when this all went down, was like, money is the root of all evil, and and she was like, no, just like what you said, but we're the people that need to be able to have access to it. But the system in the world is set up so that people like us tend to struggle the most with it. It's like, at some level, you got to sell an aspect of yourself to make so much of it. That's just my experience of like what just happened in my business. Was like, okay, well, I couldn't have it both ways, but it doesn't change the fact that I want the money.
Yeah.
Like, or
See,
I want the,
you see,
I want the
if you allow it to happen, you'll lose the ones that you're supposed to lose, because they're not resonating with you. They're there for information. They're there for something to be themselves. They're not truly there to support you. It's a selfish act. So, to be able to collapse your idea to whatever you had maybe was kind of a test in your reality itself for you. But, again, we're all growing our own individual rate. But, if you do what you do, this is expressing yourself honestly. And for you to be rewarded financially via other people's energy who have appreciated your work, that's just an exchange. And again, mastery over every element. It's not about mastery over one. The true philosopher is every element. This is the phi lost cipher. The cipher, the lose phi. Phi is the phi cycle world or earthly plane that we exist in. Don't let yourself get trapped by the unconscious. And that's what it tries to do. You see, the game itself will test you when you've reached a certain level. But we can, even me on my own, I never charged for anything, everything's always been free. I've always tried to just share with people on an individual basis rather than over the internet. And then it just manifested itself, this experience that we're having right now, and it's come to this point. I spent 3 years traveling in my van with my family, helping heal people for free, and drove around England, Europe, helping. And I spent all of my savings, every last bit of our savings, and we come to a point where we were counting our change, laughing, seeing this real experience, and then all of a sudden there's the life aligned itself, and we were able to continue to survive. And that brought us to such a point that we were able to see consciousness and God in a way that we've never seen it before, interacting with us through the experiences and the choices that we made to do on a level. And when you get to that point, you surrender everything. You know that you're actually not in control. You are the observer. Life is just a happening. And you must allow it to happen. The mind, the ego, all they want to do is get in the way. They want to identify. They want to create an objective or a concept. And that's all it is, Concepts, seoncept, wascept, inception, deception, perception, reception, all these things are here for us to find out.
I love that. That's so beautiful. We've had so many miracles like that too, where it's like we got to a place where there was nothing left, and then a miracle, like money just kind of dropped in. Someone, it's just beautiful how that does work.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said God interacting, I feel like that energy really loves that when we see it. It's like, they're seeing that this was miraculous, and that it was kind of just magnetism repelling that, pulling this in, and giving us the capacity to keep serving the way that we were designed to serve, which is freely and with joy and with happiness, but also having our own needs met. And I think that that's something that most people on the planet are really wanting to work on, their relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
And how we exchange. For me, it was a lot in the past around like, I had to work really hard to get to a place where it was like I could feel confident in charging, but then it was like it never felt right, because especially when it all fell apart, it was kind of really fascinating if I just observed it, to see that was money was the part that was so upsetting
Yeah.
for everyone. It was like that wasn't so much that I was a conspiracy theorist, white supremacist, Trump supporter, or whatever they wanted to call me. It was that somehow I was a scammer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like that, and that for me just made a huge impression of like, okay, this is my pain body. Like I need to really look at this. And then
How do you look at it now, sister, may I ask? How do you look at that? How do you observe that experience? How has it made an impact inside your awareness? How has it freed you? Has it separated you? Has it brought you down?
It's done all of those things. I mean, today I'm feeling really free. I'm feeling really excited, but I also want, like, there's two aspects of it. One is that contract was entered by two people.
Yeah.
So they're responsible for their part and I'm responsible for my part. Yeah. If the request was, I want money back, then it feels like it's all my fault that they invested this into a program that they pulled out of. So on one hand, my first response back then was, I'm just going to pay everybody back. I'm going to go pull out my straw man. And at that point, if there's all of that money, absolutely give it all back to everybody. You know, I don't even care because it's not even real anyway. It's just printed in some piece somewhere. So there was that. And then there was like, okay, a few weeks later, there's part of me going, well, but wait a second. They're the ones that pulled out. So don't we both have to be responsible? So at this point, you know, just this week, the conversation with my own community, and I've shared this publicly a few times, so I'm sorry if you've heard this story, friends, but it was just that, okay, I will pay you back as soon as it's heavenly possible. Just, we got to wait because it's not present today. Today it's present. And I don't want to put myself or my family in a lot of stress because it feels like almost like vultures, like people like, give me money. And it feels like it takes me away from the present moment, which I love to be in my own energy and in that space of innocence of like, did I really do something wrong here by being curious about etymology? Like, and wanting to, I'm like, I drink juice all day and eat watermelons. Like, what's the sin, you know? I'm learning how to heal myself from a lot of stuff. It's amazing. My family has benefited immensely from surrendering and embracing this information and allowing myself to be a student again and not having to be the one with all of the answers. You know, it feels so liberating to be in this receptive place of like really like pulling in all of it. And it's just so, it feels like such a renaissance for me. Like I feel like this awakening happening and I want to embrace that. So that's what we spoke about earlier. The interaction with the world is still a little bit funny because on one hand, I'm like, let's go to the beach, sunset, like, woohoo, we're swimming in the waves. And then there's that like, oh, okay. So my opportunity is constantly to remind myself, like, whatever God's will is, that let it be done.
Yes,
you know?
That's the key.
And I'm still learning about what that is in this particular situation, you know, because it's
I can say that from my understanding, I would say that the world itself, okay, do not love the world or anything in it. Now, there's a purpose. You cannot mess with the world. There are 7 to 8 billion unconscious beings protecting the world itself and keeping the energetic realm open in the world. This is war with LD. This is war with the form of your L. It's constant. Okay. If you try to change the world, you're going to feel what it's like to try to change something that should not be changed. The world is manifest from God. God, the creator, the creative force, which is consciousness. It serves the purpose of your experience here. To not have that here would render this experience pointless. So when you start to point the finger or you start to say this and that about the world, it causes a significant energetic response within your pain body. And all the agents that are still unconscious are there to do what's needed to do for you to learn in your experience. Anytime you mess with something that is a part of creation, you feel an impact within your pain body. But also, every aspect of this experience here is for growth. So those people there that are attaching to what you're saying is creating a pain body experience in them. for their awareness to clock onto, to see I have an aspect of myself here that's actually going into almost a shock like, behavior. I'm feeling the fight or flight. I'm feeling these energetic centers do this from my person. And I need to continually search for something that doesn't get affected or is not affected. It's perfect. We must let go.
Yeah.
Concept.
It's like, there was so many times in this experience and where it was like, we talk about forgiveness. It's like maybe God wants them to have this experience, like maybe that's what is happening. Because I've had that experience too of like, we have hard times or we think that we're right about something. We want to prove ourselves or whatever it is, but it's pointing to the place where we need to work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we need to change the situation. We're the ones that need to change. The situation is what it is. It's how am I perceiving the situation?
Yeah.
And so in this one, I was like, well, if I just give it back, then do I take away their opportunity to learn their lesson? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm waiting for like the level of like,
if you give it back, then you're only surrendering to an alternative energy. So you're not expressing yourself honestly. See, the virtue system itself, honesty is the most important integrity, because in the truth, you should set yourself free. But you need to express yourself honestly. If you go to someone else's truth, you surrender your truth, which creates another pain body experience for you. So in that surrendering to someone else's will, now you've opened up a portal, and inside you're going to have a pain body experience. So what is true to you? And, maybe it's a good time to bring it up here. Maybe it's not. I'll let the conversation flow with you. But what's true to you?
growth, transformation.
And you created a service for people that they chose to join in with through their own contracts, energetically, whatever way you want to perceive it. Now, then they also chose to leave that, which is their choice. Right now, in this present moment, everything is fine. It always will be fine. It's only when we allow our mind to go off and dance, creating thought forms and ideas. These are the true demons. These are the demons that we all need to conquer. Personally, if I'm coming from the identity in the physical world, I would just allow it to be. People who want their money back, for them, not necessarily shame on them, but they should look at themselves and realize what they're doing to someone. As you, my sister, you were just a little girl once. You were a baby, you were innocent, as you said. Look at the word innocent, it's innocent. This is no sentience. This is no programming. This is completely devoid of any additives, free consciousness, just observing itself for life, to learn. And in learning, look at what the word says, is L, earn. You must earn L. This is the EL. We're here. Positively charged alpha wave beings searching for the reciprocating field of the E, the ether, the Z ion. And together, it is, if we just hold our hands out like this, we can still see our fingers, okay? Now, if you can imagine, if you close your eyes, that you're projecting this experience in this circle, you're an energy surrounded by space. Every other energy form in this realm itself is their own world, projecting what they believe and perceive. Everything is darkness. As we come close, we interact with that energies, perceiving that this reality is open and an experience. But truly, you're an energy form in an AL and EL torus-filled mechanism, living on the inertia plane, right? Having this belief that we're this identity. But as we come close to another entity, truly there's no thing. And we're energy expressing ourselves physically. It should be like, how are you doing on your journey? Have you found the space? What are you searching for? But we're so identified with the physical nature, we have the sins attached to us. My sister, we are lost in space. No thing with energy that surrounds us. Nothing is real. Nothing about your peace of mind, your experience. Other energies themselves must learn from their own experiences. And no, once you surrender, you're protected completely and fully by the Father. And that's the key.
It's so beautiful. No
You ready
fear.
to go one step further quickly?
Yeah, please
All
bring
right.
it on.
Close your eyes a second. It was you who chose to leave me. I have never left you. I'll take a deep breath. And remember this. It was you who chose to leave me. I have never left you. And remember, all you need to do is let go of your concepts, your ideas, every belief that you have, and come back home. Because it was you who chose to walk in the realm of duality for your experience, but I have never left your side. I have always been here for you. I have always been here as you. But again, it was you who chose to leave me. Now come back home. And let that sit with you. And every time you feel yourself getting lost, remember it was you who chose to leave I. And I have been sat here waiting at the highest point for you to come home. The Kundalini experience, it's observed. It's an experience. It's not real. Come home. Drop the drama. I'm already here.
Never left. That's the being that I love about you, Mr. Josh X, and your ability to remind us all that we're the ones that left. That's so powerful. You see, I got tears.
Yeah, we've all forgotten this. We all made that decision to leave. But yet the Holy Father, Creator, Observer, Consciousness has been sat with us the whole time. Just watching. You've just been playing. You know? This is the paradox that the mind can't fathom. The intellectual mind will never cross over the abyss into the spiritual realm if it continues to act or look upon the life as physical. This is beyond physical, beyond measure. Like, this is non-physical. This is completely non-physical. But yet we've got lost in the physicality, in a dream, playing.
Wow. It's time to wake up from the dream.
This is it. This is the awakening. Flat Earth is not an awakening. It's a concept. You know?
Stepping
And we, yeah, you see, and we talk about this, but yet we're searching outside of ourselves. And you'll hear someone say to you, without the true understanding, they say, go within. Now, but what does it mean? You know, how can one who's looking objectively perceive what it's like to go inside? And if you close your eyes again and you just see that you have thought here, you have feeling, and you have emotion, and then you open your eyes and you have the physical. What is the thing that perceives both?
right. Me.
It's you. And then you go on the search and you can't find it conceptually. You can't, the mind cannot find it. This is why you must surrender. You have to just, you have to come to the realization that you do not exist. Then you have ego death. You can only die once. I suggest you do it within your body.
That is so.
Mm.
Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun that we get to meet each other and like this is what we get to do right now? It feels like all of these stepping stones have allowed us just deeper and deeper opportunities to know ourselves, like to know how, gosh, how magical we are, really.
This is magic. Everything is magic. Magic can be seen, it can be interacted with. The Ma GIC, this is the mother GIC. The mother and G is 7. This is the realm. This is the S even. These are the sine waves, the creative colors of light. See, if you can perceive that light is projected, it's opened, it's spread as a prism, which is like a prison. And what you need to do is return yourself to gold with the AU, the Ra aura. This is the AU Ra, the golden sun. Now, all these incandescent colors of light, when they're collaborated and collaborate, you see the code, the double L. This is all about the 2 L's. Once they condense themselves back into this gold, this is the true philosopher's stone, ST sine wave physical 1, the 1 sine wave of the physical. This is where tone is T physical 1. Everything has come from the word of God, the tone, the vibration. This is all oneness. It's all vibration. Your body itself is an accumulated, agitated particle that has a set vibration, and it has created this, and consciousness itself has manifested different vibratory forms for energy to exist and experience within. There's no other way around, This is how life forms are created. Thought or thought or creation, vibration, energy enters. And if we can think of, rebirth, like how would you continue your journey? Well, your energy body, your vibration, your chakra system has a set frequency, right? And it can constantly change. You can manipulate your DNA and all these things here just by thinking. But your frequency when you pass, if you haven't transcended this world, you need to be recycled into it. You set a set vibration. Now there's a mother and a father. One vibration, another vibration. These 2 vibrations added together and divided create a set vibration. Now you're entering the body at the vibration that you need to be entered into, that matches your vibration, and you'll start your journey with the vibration that you left off. Everything itself is expressed via consciousness. We're truly not in control. We're experiencing it with a belief that we're in control, but things are just constantly happening. This is why the surrender and faith is so important, because if you go against the natural laws, you find the imbalance. Yeah.
The laws are there for protection. And that's what reminds us that God is love. Like the energy that is creating is so loving that nothing is lost. So you keep evolving. You keep getting better and better. You trusting that that's the nature of creation. Creation. And we're ideas in the mind of God. We're extensions of this energy.
Yes.
It's so fascinating to remember that, in the midst of all of it, like the more that we kind of distance ourselves, we can see that my line is always only love is real. God is love. That's real. Everything else is a miscreation, is a delusion of our own insanity, our own separation from God. It's like what you said earlier, like we left, we're the ones who walked away. And it's our willingness to return and our confidence, our Godfidence to surrender into that energy, let go of what we've miscreated, let go of the contracts in the world and the judgments of the world, and keep coming back to that balance, that center space where God is there, chilling.
Those that judge shall be judged first, but that judgment creates duality. If I say there's a you and I say there's a me, now I've created duality. So just in that expressive force, believing that there is a you, I'm sunk into duality. This is now conceptual. There's no such a thing. It's a long journey. We all have the ability to walk through this way. And, as a part of our sort of thing that we do within the X family, we're just trying to give people the nuggets, the Easter eggs that people can align with to see the synchronicities. And then we have basics, building up the platforms. So we have like the food. We had a food sort of month with a recipe book and a fasting, and then everything that anybody needs to remedy their disease is within here. And then the next month we created a X yoga, which is a yoga system that we do, and then the PDF booklet so people can, help align their body, because without a straight functioning spine or posture, you'll never get the vibration to align itself properly. That's why we're the only species on earth that really have that straight spine. Then the next month was the virtues, and we spent sort of 6 to 7 weeks focusing on the virtues and giving people eyes into the world, into the energetic side of things. And now we're doing a posture one, because posture is key. If you look at the word posture, it's post, after, you are. So the way that you stand and present yourself now is how you will be in the future. And then we're going to be doing breathing courses and basically creating the easily understood assimilation for one who truly seeks, that may be not an awareness to do these things themselves, but if they have enough faith in the movement or what we're offering, if they follow it, I guarantee that they will reach points and levels of awareness that they have never seen within months. I can't express to you how much healing, how much awakening that we've had within our community. And we've got this website now that's nearly ready. And I hope people will have a look. It's going to have everything you need on there. And a community bridge where we're having land balls where people can communicate from California or India, America, wherever they are in the world, to be able to find beings that are wanting to start community on a small level or big level, depending on how they do. And we'll help people find each other, get the land, and start planting trees, communicating, having communal community, and move forward into this new space of healing and health. We've got everything from how to fix soil, right up until how to find the self, the last stage of the intellectual mind's perception before it jumps the abyss and you truly surrender into the death of the ego. We're trying to bring forth something that can really truly change people. And I hope it does well. I hope it does.
Well, it's really important what you're up to. It's so beautiful. I'm so excited. I want to be a part of it. I know that there's so many people here that have been in the chat. I haven't spent a lot of time in the chat because I've just been so in the moment with our friend Josh X here, but I know that there's a lot of people on with us that are just really in love with the new earth and really in love with what we're up to in terms of awakening ourselves, getting back on the land. I love the idea about fixing up the soil, posture. I mean, I'm a yoga practitioner myself, so I'm so I want to know what you're up to in terms of yoga and breath and all of those things. And I think what you're talking about too, in terms of bringing us together, is really exciting for us, because I think so many of us have felt like the outsiders when really, we're never alone. We're the ones that left, and now we're coming home.
And all you need to do is keep reminding yourself these things. They're simple, but they create ripples in your whole field every time you say them. It's so important. That's the truth. You can search your whole life for something, but if you don't come to that realization, you will be recycled. You've been searching for something which you already are, and we can't jump from a person to that space. You can't fathom it. It can't be done. But what we do is we open up doorways day by day. We continually progress. Progress. Pro is for G, God. RE, rightfully establishing the 2 sine waves, the double S. This is progress. And I just wanted to share with you, just, when I was speaking to the Taurus field, the E and the A, if no one knows or hasn't seen the video that we have on E and A, you think this is all Taurus, okay? So the Earth itself is E and A, which is each side of the Taurus, full magnetic physical vibration. This is what this translates to, okay? And a creator is to see the full magnetic E and A Tauruses. And the Taurus is a physical void of full magnetism. This is just the truth hidden in the word. So whenever you see the E and A connected together, you'll actually see that it's an expression of Taurus energy, red shift and blue shift within our language. And language will never ever lie to you, as numbers do, as long as you have the correct format. And that's another thing I will be, once this website's completed and we've finished these courses that we're going to on our Patreon, doing the etymology book.
Yes.
And I'm going to spend a solid month just creating it, and then I'll get it out as soon as I can. But I know if you cannot perceive it, I promise you, this is, for me, if anyone's interested in language and freedom, if they haven't found it, this is everything that one needs. You know, the discovery. I have to write this down just in case no one or anyone hasn't seen it. You see the die. Someone searches up on Google what die is, it'll tell you this is the point of balance when plasma is released. Okay, so die. This is form. This is consciousness. You need to form and consciousness balance itself is die. Our form, consciousness. Okay. So what do we need to discover is the die sine wave. See over or cover. See, to cover is to see over it, but the die sine wave, see over or to cover. The die sine wave has been covered. You need to uncover the sine wave. Okay, find the sine wave yourself, and that's the only discovery you need to know, and it expresses it within the word. Then in the word discovery, you see disk, and we know the accretion disk from magnetism. Yeah.
Okay.
How you know magnetism of the inertial plane?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not a pro. I'm learning.
That's okay. So you have an inertial plane. This only occurs as it reciprocates and creates photonic energy, light, which would be the disk that we live on. Okay. Now, if you look at the word disk, it's die, S, C. So the balanced sine wave, you'll see. So when there's a balanced sine wave, it creates the disk. And then this is the plane, which is P is light. It represents photonic light. That's why I start with P. pH is light vibration. H is like the 8, which is a vibration. But it's a P lane, which is a light lane. Yeah?
Yeah.
A lane of light. Then you put a T on. T is a physical, okay? It's a planet, but it's a light lane in physical. And that's how we exist on this plane.
Wow.
And it's become physical. It's just a lane of light. And you're a player, which is a P layer or a layer of light.
Tell me, everything is in the language. How? So language then comes from, in the beginning with the word. Is that that's consciousness then?
Yeah.
And so how did you learn all of this? Is this coming through meditation? How do we, I know.
I would say that when you are connected, that it's just flow. It's just freedom from thought.
Yeah.
Thinkingness takes you straight out of the moment into a conceptual realm of illusion. And we can all reach these heights quickly as well. And my journey was, even though I'm not very old now, it's been a long journey and very painful. My experiences, I was alone from a young boy, but yet the world wanted to pull me in at any aspect. The most how could you say, respected boy. I started martial arts at the age of 5, and then I was bodybuilding, so I had the physique. I was able to look after myself. I kept getting opportunities and people trying to draw me in, but I stayed and remained true. I never went out clubbing, I never drank. I just done my research. The gym was my thing. I used to just go to the gym, come home, eat well, research till I knew there was something I needed to know. I guess by age 22, that was probably the most intellectual I have ever been at that age, most about 12 years ago. Surrendering information is key. You can repeat information to such a point that you can really blow people away when they're on a lower level, because they like information. They like to feel that they can have someone to rely on to help them on their journey. I can remember bodybuilding thinking, I just wish someone would put their arm around me and say, this is what you need to do. to get to where you wish to be. But I wouldn't know what I know now if I did have that, because I walked and tried every method. And it's also allowed me to help people, within the fitness side of things, master any goal, but also in the healthiest way, to heal thyself while being in that realm. Interacting is the next level, and if we could even get one country or one sports team to try what we have to offer with food, 2 months, their team would be so superior. Again, right. It's a different realm.
It's a different realm. And it's exciting to think about the potential of all of this as more and more people embrace this diet. And I was just thinking of a friend that I have who's into bodybuilding, and I'm going to send her this video and all of your stuff, just because she's like eating chicken breasts, like in the morning, like the bodybuilding world and the fitness world really wrapped up in animal products and proteins and all of that. And so hearing your story just with like bodybuilding on fruit.
So she's sorry, it skipped out for me a little second then. So she's on dairy and meat and things like that. Yeah. Okay. We'll add a small section to it then.
I just noticed that she came for yoga training and she was just very, very stiff and bulky, and I know that there's like the pictures that look one way, and then what happens when you stop training that way. The body, it just seems to have a hard time with that transition. This diet information, I want to scream it from the mountaintops, but at the same time, it's people have to be, I feel a lot of people resisting it. I mean, even at the kids' school, I mentioned getting a juicer, and one of the moms was like, she already has 3 oranges a day. It's too much sugar. And I was just like,
but it's okay for them to have a chocolate bar.
Exactly. Or, a big, rice and beans, or, a bunch of grains and things like that. So yeah, because people are really trained in a very, very different mindset around food. And it's a big one.
They are. See, if someone's training and they're looking for mass, what does your body need for the mass? You don't need protein, because protein is a waste product from a dead animal. Your body makes protein, but how does it make protein synthesis? Through the amino acids. Now, living amino acids is what builds real living body tissue. Okay, so one, you need to stay anabolic, which means you need to consume food every 2.5 hours at the latest. If you're trying to increase muscle mass, you need to make sure that you're intaking enough, but you'll have to know this with your own awareness, because calories, if someone says I need to eat these calories, or I'm having too many calories, if you ask them what a calorie is, they don't know what a calorie is, but yet they're talking about it like they're an expert. And a calorie itself is an item of food put inside a box, and they heat the water up until that thing there becomes charcoal. Now that's the definition of a calorie. So this has nothing to do with anything to do with your body as such at all. The body itself only wants simple sugars. So if you have too many simple sugars, where do they go? They get stored in the muscles as glycogen. So a bodybuilder themselves would truly want the muscles full of glycogen. As long as they do true training, which is for hypertrophy, they need to volumize the muscle cells rather than tear and repair, because that's a slow way to build the muscle. So if they keep their rep range intense, a training session for like 45 minutes to an hour, but they try to do 20 to 30 repetitions, and they keep it constant tension, full rep range of motion without locking, because this puts pressure on the tendons, and they consume the fruit, not only are they allowing the digestive system to continually work faster so they can actually eat more, because when you have, for instance, meat, it can take a couple of days to exit the system. You have cooked food, it takes like 6 to 8 hours, but yet you're a bodybuilder trying to eat every 2 hours. So obviously when you cook food, you cook out the digestive enzymes, they need to be made. So it's anti-prana, it's negative energy, and you only utilize about 40 to 50% of that food. So if someone's looking for full utilization of food, maximizing growth, they need to be making sure that they're consuming enough food for the amount their body needs to be doing certain exercises, which you should be in full awareness of, and you train hard. And it's really that simple. When you train, you don't take an amino acid drink, take an orange juice, because that is living amino acids and full of glucose. which is the fuel you need for protein synthesis and muscle. The logic is so simple, but yet most people aren't willing to try it. And one may lose weight on the transition, but you're losing that meatiness. There's a certain layer of protection around the skin, which is, the water retention and salt, because the body's in inflammation all the time.
Right. It's amazing to me, my fingers, like I feel like I've become deflated, like all the puffiness and the inflammation. I'm just like, I'm like, look at my body, what's happening. It's so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. It's so happy. I feel so happy for it, Yeah, but it's very, and the other thing about glycogen that's really fascinating to me is getting stored in the muscle is how it shows up in stress situations. Like I've been so much more even tempered and like so much more observing, I'm not as triggered. Energetically, I just feel so much more present, available, loving, all of the things that we want to be. I think that we try to be, but our body is struggling so much if we're not ingesting this level of fruit. I mean, I can drink so much orange juice in one day. And when I first started, I would drink it like my children used to nurse, gulp it, like, it's like I couldn't get it in fast enough. It was like, I've tried to slow it down just because I'm like, this can't be normal, Marie. Like you're drinking so much orange juice. But it was my thirst for it was coming from like a depth that was, I didn't realize I had, it was just really fascinating and so grateful for this information. I mean, who would have thought from the time we were little, it was like, don't give babies fruit first, they say. I mean, all of the things, it's just the craziness of this. And even my own insanity of like not feeling like my son is not getting nutrition when he would just eat those little bananas off the trees here, the most amazing bananas you've ever had in your life, like the little ones.
Are they berry bananas?
Yeah. I can literally, like, for me, orange juice, bananas, and dates, I'm like the happiest person on the planet. Like
a couple of mangoes and some papaya.
Yeah. I'm just like, woo! Yeah. I just love it. I just love it. And I've been telling, like I told my parents who are, really big meat eaters and restaurants and this and that and lots of wine and all the things, like even grape juice, like just straight up grape juice.
Wow.
Why would we ever ferment it? Like or make wine from it. It's so delicious, just grape juice. I can't wait for the summer. I'm super excited.
Oh, no. Those things there, it's the lost art of eating.
Yes.
It just needs to find its way back. It's so obvious. It's so freeing. All you need to do is try it. Yeah. And don't try it for 5 days, because then you're going to find yourself going through Candida Daft and it's going to make you feel rubbish. But once you break that barrier, the light just fills you up and everything contains memory. Water is memory. This is why it's great to distill water and store it in copper, because it contains a negative magnetic charge and everything in your body is positive. You're balancing it out and allowing the flushing to take place. But fruit itself, people say, urine therapy, these types of things, great for healing. Urine is a byproduct of your blood. It's an excess of minerals. It's great in emergency situations, contains things like uric acid, which helps skin problems and such. But true living plasma, a living thing, must contain the whole structure of amino acid coding to be able to exist in a whole form. Everything you need is in each individual fruit. That's real living energy that's putting you balance every single day. And at the moment we decide to eat the junk food, you're not reciprocating, you're not healing, and you're going just down. So not to mention the complexity of meat products, emotions, mind. You have hormones released, steroids, all of these things that are going into you. And if you're finding yourself, in a very stressful situation with life, all I suggest is that you go to the fruit and you do a juice fast, and you'll find freedom within 20 days. from all of those negative thoughts, all of those feelings, and then you just start to incorporate a normal, whole food lifestyle. You don't have to go all the way and have, a fruitarian diet, especially if you live in cold countries. The best thing for you is that. But the reason why most cold countries have the root vegetables and other things as such is because they make the body work hotter. The cool negative charge within magnetism heals, but the hot electrical charge kills. So the foods that warm up the body, they slowly, over time, degrade the body. But the foods that cool the body, they keep the body alive. This is why when you do a juice fast, you feel cooler. But the reason why you feel cool on fruits is because we're all supposed to be living around the equator, where it's warm all the time. But when we digress and we've been, captivated as such, we're eating these hot foods because it's cold. I suggest we just try to find ourselves moving closer to the equator again, eating living foods over the transition of our awakening, and limitless capabilities are available to us. Capabilities are your capped abilities, and your capped abilities are the abylite ability is a bylight. This is the Bible, the two balls, or the holy two balls, which is the AL and the EL. It's all magnetism.
Wow, that's amazing. What about these people that say you could have like one vegan meal a month, or one cooked, when you transition people out, like, because we just said in colder climates, I think that a lot of, I get messages every day of people wanting to move to Mexico, like every day, at least 3 to 5. Some in the beginning there was like, so I'm kind of like tagging everybody, so I'll be in touch soon, and we are looking for land. And Josh is by the equator too, and I know Charlie Freak, and this is what we want to do. We want to create communities where we can support each other in this lifestyle. So if everybody's doing it, it gets a little easier, right? Like if there were community kitchens where there was just lots of juice, raw foods, we got a dehydrator, so we're trying to learn a few things to support with the kids transitioning as well, and all of that. But do you incorporate still a little bit of cooked foods now and then? I mean, not meats and dairies, but like a rice and beans ever, anything like that? You probably
there was a stage I would not.
Okay,
there was a stage I would not do.
At what stage?
There was a stage through my development of eating that I went through like a couple of years of just not. Okay. But then you must realize, when you come to a realization that nothing is really real, and you've kind of got those mastered and nothing actually makes an impact on you, then if you choose to have an experience, choose to have the experience, but don't let it manifest as a thought form, just experience. Now, I would never eat anything out of a packet. I would never eat anything out of a restaurant. I would never eat anything else that someone has done for me, because I'm at the level of purity that it causes too much discomfort. Every food I have, I wash twice. I make sure it's bicarb lemon, bicarb or vinegar. Then it has a secondary wash to clean everything off. So that needs to be clean for me. Obviously, organic food itself, I still clean because organically approved pesticides and things like this, they're water insoluble, which means if it rains, it doesn't come off the plant. So you need to make sure that this is done, by yourself. But yeah, if I, it's not very often, but if I choose to have something, I will choose to do it to the fullest. I'll do it with whole food, plant-based. For me, rice is lovely. I think if you don't have it very often, it's okay to have it now and again. If you choose to have it 1, 2, day 3, you'll find yourself having a big acidic crash. You'll find it in the temples and lymphatic systems. Potatoes themselves, they keep alive certain parasites within your body, so you either choose to eat them or not. So I would suggest, if someone's trying to live a healthy, happy lifestyle without taking anything too intense, just have a potato meal twice a week, or once even a day, with everything else raw, and then later on in the evening, the family, you have like a salad, avocado, and some chips that you've made without oil in an air fryer or something like that, and that's going to keep you wonderful, healthy, happy, healing, great vibration. If you choose to just have them every 2 weeks, you're going to find yourself dealing with candida doubt. So you may manifest, I don't know, canker sores, ulcers, all in the mouth, being between that phase of candida alive, candida dying, candida alive, and it's an uncomfortable space. But that's just a tip for people because it's not a nice space to be in, having constant, ulcers and candida dial. So yeah, basically, I wouldn't be afraid of any natural foods. I don't really eat beans, legumes, rice, things like that. But if I do choose to, don't think about it. Just do it, experience it,
Yeah,
continue with life.
and continue. That's really great advice. I find myself really still craving salads, like one salad a day. Like I can go fruit all day. Some days I can go like, but then now and then I'm like, I just want a salad, with all the yummy veggies and nice clean dressing and
Yeah, that's wonderful. Salad. My favorite lifestyle or the way of eating. I love to fast. Like I love to fast. I like to all day. I don't really like to do anything all day. If I was to have an eating cycle, it would be fast for 3 days and then have one meal, and then fast for 3 days, have one meal. But again, you have to be in the right environment. It can't be winter. If you're in somewhere that goes cold, summer, wonderful. But this is why it's so important for us to make sure we've got the right climate, which is why we're off to India soon. Is there anyone that has any questions or anything?
I hope you repeat.
Sorry, sister, I missed that.
It kind of cut off there for a second, so let me see. Yeah, just a lot of love in here. Hi, friends. If anyone has a quick question, post it in here. We're going to wrap it up now. Someone's saying, now I want grapes.
Yeah, great.
Loads of grapes. Yay. Love
See,
all of it.
the pressing of the grapes, that would have been such a wonderful juice to have, and someone accidentally left it on the side for a bit too long. It fermented, they drank it, and they got drunk. And then they enjoyed the feeling of what it's like
Happened?
disconnected from the body. But we have this access at any given time. We just have to go through certain processes that we're helping people find these spaces now. Such a good time to be here.
Thank you for everything. It's amazing. I want to make sure that I have all of your information to put in the show notes so that most people that are here already know you and love you very much, but there'll be new people. And I certainly want to make sure. There was someone asking about the cookbook that you guys did and how to get that. But maybe you'll send me the show notes, or if you want to tell people right now.
Yeah, I can send you the link. All it was you can either email us and we will send you a copy, or if you can choose to support the journey that we have to allow us to continue to do what we do on a day-to-day basis, helping heal people from all diseases, chronic diseases, and supporting them on their journey to balance and progress with this spiritual ashram, healing center, and fruit forest that will look to manifest this year or next year latest. Then you can support us with a donation on PayPal, and if you do anything, it's muchas gracias and very welcome. We just send you a book in return.
Great.
Also, Patreon as well. If anybody wants to join Patreon, from £3 a month, we do all the courses every month, and we have a great community, a new Telegram group, and people can interact on the course that we're doing and support each other that way, and they'll find the links for these things there as well.
Perfect. Thank you for that. A couple quick questions I see in the chat here. Someone is asking Eco Hiker, how to work with the money system with home ownership mortgage, how to get out of it. Should we claim the straw man?
See, really everything is about equity, trust and equity. And when you're dealing with fiat currency, everything is debt. So that's a complete debt system. So you need to balance your books by booking an appointment with the treasuries, or not the treasury, sorry, the chancellor, and enable your judge to be the trustee and to balance the books there. And once you do, you get given a separate account, which is just like a credit account. And then everything is just discharged by the credit account that you have. It's not an easy process, but we're going into that space now. But I would say if people just relax and enjoy being present with their family through this time, do the best you can do. Don't allow yourself to get lost in the mind traps. People already know enough to get these things done for the communities that we're building. So over time, as we start to collaborate and we start to create these communities over, there won't be just communities that are engaged in commerce. There'll be separate communities that are registered and recognized within their own trust. Other governments will see them and know they're completely separate entities, and they're navigating themselves rather than under a bracket of their trust. It's all going to come to light. We're not just going to have an integrated system with their system, because the way that their system's going now is a system that's going to be so electronically controlled within smart cities and augmented reality that we as the meek are being given a chance here to inherit the earth again. They're being guided up, they're being herded for this event, and then they're going to be taken to a space where they can continue their journey. Yet the ones that have found this have the earth to recreate, to be able to use creation, and to be able to see what it's like to live in the hands of God, which would be abundance, just pure abundance. So it's coming. If you don't know enough now, just allow it. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, there's like a couple shows that were out there that we did with people, like talking about how to do this, like how to get your straw man, how to, do I think it's UCC. I'm still learning myself, but it's kind of like that dance of like, oh, do I really put all my energy in this direction to go into that system to pull out money that's fraudulent in and of itself so that I can buy land and do all the good things. So I think a lot of people are really dancing with this question. So what I hear you saying is hold tight for a second, breathe, and let's just see how this rolls out.
Yeah, learn to just relax, learn to adjust your energy centers. Just try to find peace within the family that you have. Be present. When you look at your child or you look at your partner, look at them with intensity. Don't just look at them through the eyes of a person. Remember that God is not a respecter of person. This means that God cannot see through the eyes of your person and you're disconnected. There's a wonderful resonance, there's a wonderful heartbeat, there's flesh, there's skin, there's creation, there's a perception. With your full intensity, appreciate what's being offered to you at this moment. And, as long as you put your full intensity, you can't exit this moment. That's the most important thing right now. To feed yourself with the highest fruits, to look after your family, to find love and peace. Surrender. Everything is happening for you. And if you're ready for the gifts, you shall have the gift. And there is a slow transitional period that's happening right now. You stay and watch, and you'll see that many different strains of viruses are going to occur, many different lockdowns. If you want change, change yourself. Don't ask for change. The world can't be changed. It serves its purpose in duality. Find freedom in that knowing and just watch. Even the Rastafarians, there was a Haile Selassie said, if Rasta is right, then society mustn't get panic, because there is nothing you can do about it. And what that translates to is just let the system do what it has to do. Don't get involved. Focus on the positive things in life. Bring them to light. Don't focus on the lies, the deception within the world, because you bring them to light. That's having the experience of pain. Focus on the positive things. Bring them to your family. Bring them to the truth community. We don't need to focus on things like Trump or whatever's happening in the world, because that's of the world. What is of the earth? The fruit trees. How do we eat with the fruit? If we want to do something for each other, let's plant a tree. Let's watch it grow. Let's teach our children that this little seed here has a magical property, and that is to create life, to feed you for the rest of your life. And if you look after this, then you're going to look after the whole of your family and the whole of creation. And these things are the simple things, and our simple things are our blessings.
Beautiful. Really beautiful. One more question. Can I mix fruits and veggies when I start juicing? And my dad was told he had fructose intolerance. Is that real?
I did lose a stable internet connection then. I heard that my dad had glucose intolerance, did you say?
Yeah, and she asked if that was real. And then another question was about, can I mix fruits and veggies in my juices?
You can. You can mix fruits and veggies in your juices. Apple, carrot, wonderful. But it depends on where you're going and what experience you wish to have. I would just play with these foods, allow yourself to be sensitive enough to be able to feel what they're doing to your body. Try not to put too much thought into it, but as long as they're living, as long as they're alive, you're going to find great vibrancy within the body. Now, glucose sensitivity, see, this is such a paradox when you're trying to teach someone about the body, because, for an example, I know this is going off glucose intolerance, but AIDS is a virus. So the doctors tried to attack AIDS like a virus, or what they believe is a virus. Now, viruses aren't external. They can't be transmitted or transmuted. They are within. They're a part of your immune system. If you have bad bacteria in your body, a loose protein will turn into a virus. It will go up to the bad bacteria, go inside of it, duplicate itself until the bacteria pops, thus creating a whole army of viruses. Viruses aren't bad. You need viruses for your immune system to function and kill off bad bacteria, which is from the dead food that people consume. So if your body is consuming death, you need the bad bacteria in the body, because the bad bacteria eats the bad food that you put in there. So there's a relationship with bad bacteria, fungus, because fungus eats the dead matter as well. So when you're trying to deal with something like a virus or AIDS as such, you need to deal with it as a bacteria infection, not as a virus. So when you're talking about the body itself saying that something has intolerance to glucose, the body would be dead without glucose. It's your primary source of fuel. You maybe having a response when the body gets a correct fuel in, that now it can actually get rid of toxins because it has the capability to do it, thus having a symptomatic response of pain body because you're pulling out and detoxing, thus being misdiagnosed as a tolerance to the primary source of fuel which your body needs. It's the illogical concepts of the scientific community that do not know the true function of the body. This is why it's important to go through the physicality and have a look inside the energetic realm. This is why the holy water itself is negatively charged through copper, because all that's happening on the energetic side is that you're a positively charged alpha wave being that constantly needs to eat the things that are alkaline, which are negatively charged by the earth, because everything electrical needs to be earth or ground to have this discharging of ions. That's all that's happening. Negative water attaches positive particles, thus being excreted and allowing the body to do its job, discharging the positivity all the time. The true positivity is negative. We need negativity, not positivity.
Wow. It's powerful. There's a lot of those questions running around, just around, in diabetes, and, people that test their sugar every day and say, oh, I couldn't do fruit, I can't have sugar. So it's like, you can't have bread, but you can have some peaches,
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. A lot of people are afraid of that. The only thing that cured my dad of diabetes for 30 years was plant-based diet.
Really?
Yeah, he had really bad type 1, type 2, kidneys and livers was functioning at like 20%. And then we managed to get the whole family plant-based. My brother had like basal cell carcinoma.
Good job.
And
That's
then everybody's plant-based, everybody's healed, everybody's happy. And then everybody now is spiritual. They've all found spaces. They do their breath work, they do their meditation. My dad was like a bare knuckle fighter. He was a huge 20-stone aggressive alpha male, and now he's an amazing being who's fully plant-based and does his meditation and breath work. It's incredible. Well done, Daddy. I love you. Well done, Mommy. Well done, sister. Well done, brother.
Wow. Well, that's some real juice and encouragement for those of us in terms of our families of origins. What an accomplishment. And I'm sure that's just because they've seen you and they see you.
My whole life, I was considered a bit crazy. Like by the age of 8, I was asking when they would go to an Indian restaurant if I could just have a naan bread with no butter on. So I would have a naan bread with no butter at the age of 7 or 8 because I didn't want the food. I didn't want the milk in my cereal. It was funny off grey, and then as I progressed, it was, you have this dysfunction, and I tried to present them by the age of 13, 14, the problems within the world, the government, all the things that are going on. They thought I was a bit strange, and then now they couldn't translate what I had to share with them, but now they're grasping the translations and they're growing, and I truly think that they're going to be able to make it this time. Strong-willed
That
family.
is so beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I'm so like, wow.
Thank you.
I love that story.
So with diabetes, let's quickly touch it.
Amazing.
Dia is through BT's French is idiocy, okay? Diabetes translates as through idiocy. So we get diabetes because we don't know how to eat. Your pancreas produces insulin and becomes insulin resistant from the chemicals in the food that it can't recognize. A microwave is one of the leading causes of diabetes because the food particles get agitated, they come out of their natural structure, and then the body can't recognize them. So it shoots insulin to help break down so it can be transported to the body. I recommend if anybody's trying to search for the truth, search each individual function of what you're trying to see and see what it does within the body. And then you can start to sort of see the synchronicities of how the body's working. Fruit does not spike your insulin. But again, there is a transitional period of going from this acid to alkaline that you may feel a little bit funny. You may get some hypoglycemia. You're in good hands, but you must make your decision. If someone's looking to just get the healthier diet and allow the diabetes to go over time, just go to whole food. Still cook it, still have raw juices, smoothies, whatever you choose to do, but you'll notice a significant difference. And then you'll naturally progress as you have experienced wellness. This is the biggest inspiration that one can have, is going through that experience yourself.
Yeah. That's the only way you get it. You have to go through it yourself. I mean, we can talk about it all the time, but I think that's what you said earlier. People don't want to do it because there's a lot of fear, and the detox symptoms are real, but we have to accept that's a part of our karma too. Mm-hmm. That's a lifetime of eating really not for ourselves, not for ourselves or ourselves. And so the cells, there is that process of like, it's intense. I mean, I had my own fair share of it. It's not easy, and there are some crazy ass symptoms, but there's a perseverance too, and a faith and a trust that this is good. This is, even though the body wants to say this is bad or this is uncomfortable, it's all good. It's like this cleansing process. It's yeah, it's just, I think there's a resistance to discomfort, and so
yeah, fear of the unknown as well. We all have fear, lack of knowledge. This is why knowledge is important to get you to a certain level of freedom. Within the world, you need a certain level of intellect. You need to seek. Seek is to see K. Balance is K. This is the twin pillars again. You shall find it. And then you apply what you know and you grow. So once you have applied the knowledge you have seeked, you become wise at what you're doing. But then again, once you've done everything and mastered this realm, you come to that point where, what do you do from here? You surrender. You become one with the divine. Every being's journey is this. We all have the same goal: to be goalless, formless.
I heard you say goalless, and I also heard golden.
Yes. The word gold is goal D, which is the goal of our form, which is to be gold. And gold is AU, which is your aura. Auras change with your resonance, how you're feeling. But once one has found the golden aura, you are a vibratory match for this oneness. And the vessel itself is spontaneously manifestation of light. It's pure light. The golden fleece.
Yay!
Yeah. Remember that song?
You are so much fun.
Do you remember that song, sister? Sorry.
Say again.
You remember it's gold, gold. Always believe in your soul. You're indestructible. Remember that song?
I don't, but I love it.
It's a long time ago. I don't know who it's by, but I know the lyrics were gold, gold, always believe in your soul, and you're indestructible. It was a huge song in like the 70s or the 60s, but it's true. You are indestructible. You are ever present. You are here. You're the only thing that can observe two worlds at once: the realm of thought, emotion, feeling, physicality, but yet everything's still perceived by you, the true you. Don't get lost. Come back home.
I love that little meditation you gifted us all with. And I just got it so big. I'm here.
You are. You've never left. Never left. You're nothing. You are nothing. And in that, embody it, my sister. Embody this, and it won't be long before you can just transcend. Just, I am no thing. And only then, when you realize that you are no thing, can you have ego death.
It's beautiful. Then you get your wings and fly
You
away.
do. You win G. This is when you win G. It's a wonderful game here, everybody. We're having a great experience. We get to interact with other energies, express our experiences. We can learn, we can grow, we can laugh, we can cry. If you do everything with full intensity in this moment, you never have fear. You never have anything but enjoyment, bliss, love. Just remember one thing, okay, that the ego is a protective mechanism of your lower five senses. What it does is it takes and gathers information intellectually, feeds it back to you via commentary in the mind. Thus, maybe a tenth of a second, it feeds it back to you, constantly living out of the present moment. Even though you believe you're here in the present moment, you're being fed presence by a program that's running just in front of you, feeding it back as a protective mechanism. To be wary of that mindset. It's very key to free yourself from the ego, to recognize thoughts and see they're actually not a part of you. You see that they're a floating essence of this consciousness. You choose to attach to a thought and you put it in here and you create worlds. And those worlds are totally illusory, but they can integrate themselves within your software as an experience, which creates your DNA, your future, and everything that's encapsulated in your physical vessel. So just be mindful of the mind, thoughts. Every thought that manifests as a demon through lack of action. If you live in your truth, you'll never have a demon, a thought form again. Always be true, and it shall set you free.
So beautiful. You've given us just so much love. So much. Just like, I'm like a rain shower of just all this golden light and energy around me. I just feel so grateful for our time together. Such an amazing analogy, just sharing on the ego and how the ego is that edging God out, when we are God. And we get to edge the ego out by just not attaching to it. It's just, wow, so good. I know everybody here in the chat loves you so much, and I love you so much. Stay on with me for just one more second. I'm going to stop the live here, but thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you, everybody. Have the best experience you can, always.
Beautiful. And you do that. It's obvious. It's obvious. So we're excited to have you as a brother on this journey. What a gift you are.
Thank
What a
you.
gift. We love you, Josh.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.